Hey guys, it's Hesh. What I want to do in this video is talk to you about breaking into the BIM industry as a BIM coordinator. And the purpose of this video is to actually answer the very simple question of, can I help you get there? And if I can help you, how exactly I can do that? And if I can't help you, where do you need to go from here? So if you're an architect, you're an engineer, you're a draftsperson, and you use Revit for work and you're a Revit modeler, you're probably starting to feel stagnant, like you hit a ceiling in your career. And if that's the case, you're not alone. You're probably looking into BIM coordination management, thinking that you can regain a sense of purpose, passion, progress, and job security in your career. So in the next 20 or so minutes, what I'm going to do is show you my exact step-by-step three-phase BIM blueprint and break down the type of person and where you sort of need to be in your career and your journey in order for this system to work. And the way that I'll do that is through three things, right? The first thing is I'm going to show you a bunch of testimonials and proof as to why this works and different examples of different people's in different parts of their journey, so you can understand, okay, where these people are at, and you can compare that to where you're at and get a really good gauge for whether this is going to work for you, because there's three types of people this will 100% of the time work for, right? And I'll go through those three types of people so you can see if you're one of them. The next thing I'll do after that is, once I show you all those examples, so it sort of unlocks your mind, then I'll show you the step-by-step process and the system, the three-phase BIM blueprint that each one of those people actually used, irrespective of where they're at, in order to get that outcome, right? And there's a three-phase BIM blueprint. And after you understand that blueprint, then I'll show you and I'll give you the opportunity to learn where you can actually go and access that three-phase BIM blueprint. And this is actually through my community. And if you think this is going to work for you, this is something that you 100% resonate with, and you think, okay, I'm in the exact same position as them, I'll give you the ability to access this if that's something that you think is beneficial for you, so you can move forward with that, right? And so before I even go through all the examples of people that this has worked for and why this works so effectively, right? Just give me 60 seconds and I'll sort of explain who I am so that you understand and have some context in which to view this video, right? Pretty much, otherwise you're not going to know whether you should believe me or not, right? So my name's Hesh. I currently work as a BIM coordinator. I actually became a BIM coordinator within 1 year in the industry with no prior experience in coordination or management. And I understand that's a pretty atypical pathway for a lot of people. A lot of people take 5, 6, 7 years in order to transition into this phase, but I was able to do it very quickly by learning the BIM coordination and management skill set early on in my career, right? So now I run a BIM training company where I help architects and engineers who feel stagnant, like they hit a ceiling in their career, to learn BIM coordination management and grow into the next phase of their careers even quicker than I was able to do. And so the reason I'm so passionate about BIM coordination is that I used to be a Revit modeler. I used to feel stuck, unmotivated, unpassionate about my career, and like I had hit a ceiling, and I couldn't envision myself doing Revit drafting and modeling every day for the next decade of my career. There's no way I was going to do that. And so after I learned the BIM coordination skill set, I was able to quickly transition from into a BIM coordination role, right, very smoothly. And all of a sudden, when I did that, my passion, my motivation, my drive, my sense of purpose in my career, in my work, it all came back. And so I started to feel really good about my career, and it gave me sort of like an upwards momentum and spiral, where I was able to grow quicker in my career. And so that was the origin of BIM Accelerator, because I realized how powerful learning the BIM coordination and management skill set was. And all I've been doing is dedicating myself to help other people do the exact same transition as I did, but quicker, right? And I'll give you some examples, because there's three types of people, like I said before, that this 100% works for, okay? And the first type of person that this works for are BIM modelers and draftspeople who feel stuck and stagnant in their careers and want to expand into BIM coordination and management for the first time. So if you're stuck as a BIM modeler or a draftsperson and you're thinking, okay, I want to get into coordination, then this is something that could work for you, because Arushi from London did the exact same transition, and I actually have a video with her on my YouTube channel going through her journey, how she felt everything was, right? When she first came to me, she felt stuck doing tedious CAD and drafting work as an architect. She couldn't envision her career going down that path any longer because she felt like she was wasting her time. Every single day she went to work, she thought she was just wasting her time. And she didn't want to take the traditional slow lane career path. She looked at BIM coordination and management as her way through, right, onto the other side where she's now on the fast lane. So we worked together to position her as a super skilled individual in the industry, and we applied the three-phase BIM blueprint that I'll show you later on. And this allowed her to transition from architecture to a BIM coordination role in London within 90 days of working together, right? And the interesting thing is she had zero experience as a BIM modeler, as a BIM coordinator, all her experience actually lay in architecture. So she had zero experience as a BIM coordinator. She had done modeling and CAD and drafting. And she was able to, from that architectural role, get into the BIM industry and doing a BIM coordination role by using this 3-phase BIM blueprint. And she was able to make this transition very seamlessly. And the way we did it is by positioning herself as a very qualified and knowledgeable person with the CV and portfolio that we implemented. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. I actually have a private community where all my clients are able to post any wins or any things that they've achieved. And she posted on our community that she's beyond grateful for this role. She's still processing this and letting it sink in. And that she is also looking forward to starting her BIM journey and continuing to learn and grow in the field, right? So she posted this with an offer letter saying where she got a role and that she's feeling very grateful that she got the offer, right? So that's Arushi. Another example of someone that's in the exact same position, right? So someone that was a BIM modeler drafts person, worked in the industry and wanted to get into BIM coordination and management is actually Jana. And so Jana is from the Netherlands. And so I helped Jana, who had no prior experience in Europe, land her first role in the Netherlands as a BIM architect. It's a BIM architect coordination dual role in a super hands-on company where she'll be exposed to a lot of BIM coordination, site coordination, and growth. So it's sort of a dual role where she didn't let go of architecture completely. She's using that with the coordination and she gets to do both at the same time and grow in that sense as well, right? So I have a YouTube video, it should be up right now, where you can go and see a conversation between me and Jana talking about her whole journey, how she felt the whole 3-phase BIM blueprint was, and how her particular struggles with the job acquisition process and everything that she went through during this journey. And she also posted on our group saying that she's really thrilled to share that she received an offer as a BIM architect, and it's a BIM architect coordination dual role, and she's really excited about that, right? And so when Jana first came to me, she was actually just finishing up her master's because she had worked in the industry for a few years and she disliked it, and she started her master's because she thought that was the only option that she had. And then she quickly realized that at the end of her master's, she wasn't actually guaranteed a job in the BIM industry just because she did a master's. And so she came to me saying that, okay, I feel like I'm going to be going back into industry and I'm destined to enter and do the exact same thing. Like I didn't really progress even though I had done this master's. I feel like I'm like destined to go back, and like the companies that I'm applying to I'm only getting these types of roles again, right? So like I haven't really made much progress even though I've done this master's, done this course. And so she didn't want this lack of growth, right? She experienced prior to doing her master's. And so Jana came to me wanting to find a way to position herself as a highly skilled individual in the BIM industry, and by learning all the BIM coordination and management programs and workflows. So she wanted to use her unique experience in the industry as a BIM modeler. She wanted to use her architectural experience, or she wanted to learn some BIM coordination programs and management workflows and showcase that. She wanted to position her master's and all of that packaged in a way that will allow her to get into a company where she can work as a coordinator, right? And so we worked together to position her as a super skilled individual in the industry by applying my 3-phase BIM blueprint. And she was able to get an offer as a BIM architect coordinator dual role within 90 days of working together. And in the position that she was offered, she will be exposed to a lot of site coordination, modeling, and architecture. And it's not only architecture, it's coordination at the same time, right? So it's not like Arushi where it was in pure BIM coordination role. This was something where she wanted to do architecture, so she got that exact role that she wanted, where it's to do with BIM coordination, right? You're exposed to BIM coordination, site coordination, as well as architecture as well, right? It's interesting because she said this in the video that I have on my YouTube, right? She actually told me, in her words, not mine, she said in one of the recent calls that I record and put on YouTube, she feels like she's in Disneyland. That's the exact word she said. And because the reason she said that is because she can do BIM coordination, site coordination, she has architecture, she feels like she's exposed to all these different aspects of the business. And that's a very good position to be in your career, right? And so she feels like she's now unlocked the path to then grow exponentially in her career because she has access to learn all these things in a very practical sense. And so she feels like she has accelerated her learning with this new opportunity, okay? And so those two people, Jana from the Netherlands and Arushi from London, are two examples of people who are BIM modelers and draftspeople that got into the BIM coordination role straight away, where they were able to then start doing BIM coordination in their new role, right? The next type of person, the second type of person, right, is architects and engineers who feel stagnant in their role doing mundane day-to-day tasks like documentation and estimation, and they want to enter the BIM industry as modelers with the end goal of BIM coordination in mind. So you might be doing architectural documentation day in, day out, and you feel like architecture might not be like a path for me. You want to get into Revit and BIM modeling, right? With the idea of BIM coordination in the long run, but you want to get straight away, like the first step is BIM modeling. That is also something that is 100% possible. And an example for that is actually case study 3, Vic from Australia. So Vic came to me because he felt like he had hit a ceiling in his career. And the reason for that was because he was doing architectural documentation on a day-to-day basis for residential projects. So the reason he felt like he hit a ceiling is because he was doing architectural documentation for residential projects, right? You're only doing documentation, no BIM, and you're only doing residential projects. You're not getting exposed to any of the commercial stuff, right? So how do you increase your knowledge base and your exposure to the industry when you're only doing residential documentation, right? You hit a ceiling. And his goal was to get into larger scale projects and to work with BIM rather than documentation and doing these mundane tasks. So he wanted to get into BIM modeling and he wanted to then grow into BIM coordination, right? But the first step was to get into BIM modeling. And so we worked together to implement my 3-phase BIM blueprint and position himself as a really skilled individual in the market. And after we were able to do this, within 30 days, he was able to land a job in a highly reputable architectural company that does large-scale commercial projects. So he went from doing documentation to then doing Revit, BIM modeling, and also doing it on commercial projects. So you're doing things like schools and prisons and aged cares and stadiums and all these really big projects that you have now capacity to work on. And so he was able to get into a really, really good position after this journey. And within 30 days, he was able to land a job in a highly reputable architectural company, right? And he actually had a conversation with the company to explain that he wants to grow through BIM and management, and they've created a path for him to follow within that company. And so now he's able to develop his skill set with the large scale projects in the commercial sector while working super hands-on on the BIM workflow in the new job that he got. So this second type of person is someone that is feeling stagnant in their role and that wants to get into BIM modeling, enter the BIM industry as a modeler with the goal of coordination in mind. So make that initial step because you want to get experience as a Revit modeler, okay? So that 100% is possible as well because there's a 53-minute long video of me talking to Vic and talking about his journey, right? So if you want to go, you can go and watch that and get some inspiration from that as well. He posted on our community the other day that he has had a very happy day and he wanted to share a recent win that he achieved with his offer letter down here, that he got an architectural role, which is to do with BIM, right? And so he was super excited to get started with this new chapter. The third type of person that I can help, and this might be surprising to you, is actually architecture and engineering students, no experience yet, right? If you're an architecture engineering student who wants to accelerate rapidly at the start of their career and shortcut around 5 to 7 years in the industry by becoming an expert at BIM coordination and showcasing that on their portfolio. The reason I know this is because this is exactly what I did. I was an engineering student, right? And I was straight away able to get into the BIM industry as a modeler. Within 1 year, I transitioned into BIM coordination. And Eureka from Australia actually made the exact same transition. She was actually an architectural student. So she was working as she was learning architecture. She was getting to the end of her degree and she wanted to enter the industry really hot and save 5 to 7 years of her career by not getting stagnant in the BIM modeling side of things, right? And I had the exact same desire. So I just helped her implement the exact same process that I went through, right? When I had started this journey at the very start. And unlike all my other case studies that had some experience, like Vic, Jana, and Arushi all had experience, a few years of experience in the industry, right, as an architectural engineering profession, Eureka actually had no experience at all, full-time experience in the industry, and she was only finishing up her degree. And so she had realized through her time at university that her passion lied more in the BIM side of things rather than in the architectural side of things. And so she didn't want to go down the path of architecture to then realize 5 to 7 years down the track that it might have been a mistake. She didn't want to make the same transition that some other people have made where you go 5, 6, 7 years and then you realize, okay, let me get into coordination now. She wanted to straight away get into that as soon as possible, right? So she came to me with the desire to position herself as an individual that can break into the BIM industry as a student. And so we implemented the 3-phase BIM blueprint and positioned her as a super knowledgeable graduate candidate in the industry, right? with this three-phase BIM blueprint, and we actually positioned her, I remember particularly with her, we positioned her as a young, hungry, motivated person in the BIM industry who's willing to learn and grow no matter what. And so we made that super obvious on her CV, on her portfolio, with all the programs that she learned and her unique experiences, like early on with her units that she'd learned in university. And with her optimized skill set, she was able to land a role at a construction company in the BIM team as a BIM coordination graduate as soon as she finished her course, right? And this was within 60 days of working together. And so she posted this just so you can have some understanding of why this is, how good this is, right? She said that her role involves, over here, involves supporting the digital engineering strategy by managing project models, ensuring quality compliance, collaborating with the construction teams, promoting digital innovation to enhance project delivery. These are all things to do with BIM coordination and BIM management. So she's actually straight away got into a role. She's shortcut 5 to 7 years of her career and straight away got into a digital BIM coordination, BIM management position where she's now mentored and she's able to grow really rapidly in her career, right? And the way we did that is by implementing this three-phase BIM blueprint. And so she was positioned as an expert that really wants to learn this, and companies love it when they see that type of profile and they see that type of candidate coming into with their resumes and their cover letters and CVs, right? And their portfolios. And so those are examples of people in the last couple of months. I handpicked these people that have gotten these results from the last couple of months, right, in my program, so that it sort of opens up your mind so that you understand, okay, this is possible. You might be someone that wants to get straight into coordination because you might have a few years of experience, and you might be like Arushi from London or Jana from the Netherlands, or you might be someone like Vic, who just wants to get into BIM modeling straight away, right? And then wants to grow into coordination slowly. Or you might be someone like Eureka, who is still a student, but wants to 100% shortcut and accelerate in their career and get into like a graduate coordination position, right? Either way, if you're one of these three types of people, I want you to know that 100% this goal that you have in mind and this transformation that you want to make is 100% possible, because these people have done the exact same strategy. And I'm actually going to now show you what that three-phase BIM blueprint is, because I said three-phase BIM blueprint, but you're probably wondering now, okay, what is this three-phase BIM blueprint that they all went through, and how does this work? Like, why is it so effective at giving all those people those results, right? So that's what I want to do right now. What I want to do is explain the question, why is my system so effective with transforming you from Revit modeler to coordinator, or boosting, right? Or getting you in as a Revit modeler so quickly into the industry, no matter where you are. And so the way that I'll do that is by showing you this three-phase BIM blueprint. So if we go over here, this is my three-phase BIM blueprint. And let me explain this to you on a very high level. And we'll start off with phase A. So phase A is the foundational phase. Think of it like a stool. Okay, a stool that has 3 legs, right? And you need a floor in order for this stool to sit. So phase A is the floor, because if you have a stool and you have no floor, then the chair can't sit anywhere. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 are the 3 legs of this stool. So you actually need all of this in order for this system to work. And when you think about BIM coordination or growing into coordination and management, you have probably thought of only one of these phases, which is why you're probably stuck and you're not able to make this transition seamlessly. So hopefully this becomes a very logical step-by-step process, and that you should be able to understand straight away, okay, this actually makes sense, and this is something that I 100% can do. And so phase A is all about Revit, okay? In order for you to become a BIM coordinator, you need to become proficient at Revit. And it doesn't mean you need to become a master and understand how to model a house within 2 hours really quickly, right? Know all the tools and the add-ins. You just need to know how to do a construction set of documents. You need to know how to render and model projects like residential projects and office building commercial projects. And pretty much you need that skill set of Revit, right? Knowing how to do construction documents and also how to model things very efficiently and effectively, okay? Once you have that, right? And if you're someone like Eureka who hasn't had much industry exposure, it's very important to learn a few projects and showcase it on your portfolio first. Or if you're someone like Vic who has done documentation for a while, it's very important to then start modeling and showcase that on your portfolio so that you can then get BIM modeler positions, and that's like one very key pillar for this whole process, right? Now, that is the foundation. That's not even the three-phase system. The three-phase system starts here. So we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. This is for BIM coordination. Phase 1 is where we learn the when I say mindset, I don't mean how you think. I mean how a BIM coordinator sees a model, okay? You need to understand how to actually coordinate, because just learning Navisworks, just learning the ACC is not actually going to help you become a BIM coordinator, because you might know how to use programs, but you don't know when you get a result from the program, how to interpret it. So we need to teach you how to interpret results from programs, okay? So for example, with phase 1, it's all about understanding the different ways that we coordinate. So when you look at the ceiling space, you need to understand what the different colors are. What are the MEP services? When you look at a model, you need to understand where do the different pipes come from? What sort of models, right? What are the different colors? What can be coordinated on site? What has to be coordinated in the BIM model? When we have so many clashes, what do we ignore and what do we actually create as issues, right? How do we run a BIM coordination meeting? Because if you don't understand what you're looking at in the model, imagine you know how to use Navisworks, but when you see these images, you don't understand anything on here. When you go and sit into a BIM coordination meeting, how are you going to share your screen and walk through anything? Because you don't understand even what you're looking at. So the whole purpose of this is to increase your confidence and pretty much make you see the model the same way that I see a model, right? And as a BIM coordinator, how you can see the model the exact same way that someone that's working in the industry for 5, 6, 7 years with site exposure, site experience, how they can see the same model. So we learn things like MEP services coordination, right? Plant room access coordination, reflected ceiling plan coordination, and precast panel coordination. And you need to understand the hierarchy, the MEP systems, and the BIM fundamentals, so all the workflows. So this is all theoretical, so that you actually understand how to then interpret the results. Once you go through phase 1, phase 2 is probably what you're used to. This is learning the programs. This is simple, right? Learning Navisworks, learning ACC, learning IFC and OpenBIM, learning Celebri, like learning whatever program is based in your country, right? If you're from the Europe, it'll be different. If you're from Australia, the US, Canada, UK, it'll be all different, right? And we have to figure out what specifically you need for your unique situation and your industry that you're working in order for this system to work, right? And because you don't want to be doing things, you don't want to waste your time. So once you figure that out, you learn strategically what you need to learn, the programs, and you're using these programs, you're doing a real live world example. At the same time, you have the knowledge that a BIM coordinator needs over here. So you actually know when you run the Navisworks clash detection, you know what you're looking at. And if someone asks you questions about the model, you 100% can answer questions. You can run a meeting and you understand how to communicate with other people, right? So you have the knowledge and you have the coordination, program knowledge. The last thing is to actually, it doesn't matter if you just know those two things if you can't communicate to someone that you know those two things. So phase 3, which ties everything together, is actually creating the portfolio, the CV, the cover letter to actually showcase to the employers that you know phase 1 and you know phase 2. So there's no point of learning Revit, there's no point of learning all these different coordination workflows and how it actually works if you can't showcase it to employers. So in phase 3, what we do is we create on our portfolio, we show them that we know how to do these renders with Revit. We show them we know how to do these floor plans, right? These are actual examples of clients' portfolios that I put here, right? We're showing that we know how to do the floor plans, the roof plans, the section views, the elevations with Revit. We're showing that we know how to do the different federating the model, right? The ACC, the different things on the ACC, setting up design collaboration, model coordination, the BIM coordination hierarchy. We're actually showing examples of different clashes and then what's resolved and what's not resolved. So we're showing to the employer, along with our CV, right, over here, which is, it's a very specific way to also write your CV, how we're showing them, okay, we learned phase A, so we're showing that over here, right, to your employer in your portfolio. We learned phase 1, we're showing that over here. We're showing that we know the BIM coordination stuff and the workflows. We learned phase 2, and so we're showing them that we actually know the ACC through these images over here. And we're showing that we know how to federate a model and do that whole system because of phase 1 as well, right, because you know the BIM coordination fundamentals. And so this should be a very logical sequence that hopefully now you understand, okay, this actually makes sense. If I know Revit, if I know how to think like a coordinator, and I see the program, I see the model the same way, and I know how to use the models and I'm an expert at it, and I can showcase to the employer that I actually have these skills, right, very clearly, then 100% they're going to ask me to come in for an interview. And because I genuinely know, because I've learnt from a real world practical experience, I will actually get the job. It's because when they ask me questions, I will know how to answer them. And so that's the feeling you should get when you go through this three-phase system. And when you actually practically learn this with a real world example, right? When we go through this, when all my clients over here have gone through this three-phase system, they get so much confidence that when they start applying to jobs, they're actually able to go and talk to these interviewers with a lot of confidence. And that's actually what allows them to go through into the second stage, third stage, fourth stage of interview and actually get the role, right? And so just one more thing, right? I showed you my clients, right? I showed you the three-phase system. Where do you go to learn this three-phase system? So just a sneak peek. This is actually the BIM Accelerator private community that I have that you get access to when you get started. You will see over here in my three-phase system, I actually have over here small Revit Fundamentals, Office Building course. I have the BIM Fundamentals, MEP Masterclass, BIM Coordination Hierarchy, ACC, Navisworks, OpenBIM, Celibri. They actually all come from my course over here where I've created different courses, the Revit Fundamentals and the Office Building, the MEP Fundamentals, the BIM Fundamentals, MEP Coordination Hierarchy, BIM 360, Navisworks, IFC, Celibri. Everything is here for you to systematically go through. There's different modules, there's Google Docs, there's PDF, there's work for you to do in order for you to actually learn these things, okay? So this is where you'll get access to everything, and you can ask questions from me or from the community, so you can actually go through this systematically, use a real world project, and actually go through this step-by-step three-phase system so that we can actually get you that outcome, okay? And so that if this is something that you think resonates with you, if you think you're one of those three archetypes that I explained, similar to my other clients, and you think that this sort of system makes logical sense to you, okay, it makes sense why they got those results, because this is exactly what they learned, and you like the way in which everything is going to be taught and the way that you can consume things, right? I want to tell you what the next steps are, right? But before I sort of tell you that, I want to answer one question: who this is not for, because this might not be for you if this is there's a very specific reason, right? So this is not for you if you're not willing to put in the work over the coming months to learn and transform your skill set. So you need to be committed, right? And so the reason for that is I actually run this training company while I also work as a BIM coordinator full time. And so because of that reason, I only work with a few people each month, because I genuinely want to spend time with you to make sure you achieve your goal, and because of the limited capacity that I have. And so I'm actually not here to sell you a course. That's why you can't buy that's why I don't sell a BIM coordination course for you to buy. So you can't get that. I want you to achieve the outcome. And so that's why I have this in-depth program. And the way that I intend on doing that is by transferring all the industry knowledge that I have in my mind into yours. And that's the whole intention with this program. And that's why it's so in-depth, it's so hands-on. That's why you get a lot of support and guidance. And that's why I actually need to have a chat with you in the first place. Because what I want to do in the next step, when you book a call down below, is you can click on my calendar, you can schedule a call with me, tell me a little bit about yourself. I want to figure out exactly where on this roadmap you're at. And after talking to you, I can have a very clear picture of where you're at and where you need to go to. And we can create a roadmap so that you 100% will be able to achieve your outcome by getting into this phase, right? So we need to place you somewhere along this roadmap. So that's going to be happening when we have a chat. So that's why I want to have a chat with you in the first place. And so you only need 30 to 60 minutes per day to finish this program. It doesn't have to be consistent. Some days you might do more, some days you might do less. You might cram it all in a weekend, right? If that's all the time that you have. But if you have on average 5 to 6 hours a week, that's how much you need in order to go through this whole program the way that it's intended to go through, and to genuinely make a real world change by learning this skill set and actually implementing it, right? And so if you think you resonate with this, right? The next step is, if you think I can help you, I want you to book in a call down below. We can have a chat and see where you're at in terms of that whole process, and see if we can get you to your outcome. And if it doesn't, sorry about that. You can continue to watch my YouTube videos, and I think that would be the best bet. Continue to watch my YouTube videos, get into a position where you think you're one of these three types of people, right? And then you can schedule a call down below so we can have a chat, okay? And if you're sort of on the fence, you might think that it might be the time or might not be the time, just schedule a call down below anyway. We'll have a chat and see if this actually will help for you. Think about it in a very logical sense, right? Like I showed you the different examples of people in the last couple of months that have made this transformation. If you fit into one of those three categories, 100% it will work for you, because those are examples of people that it has worked for, right? The next thing is, once you go through this 3-phase BIM blueprint, does it sort of make sense going through this whole system, why those people got those results? Like it's one thing to actually say people got results, but then going through the system, it should make very logical and clear sense to you why those people actually got that result, because you're showing that you know the skill, you're showing that you know the technical skill, you're showcasing that on your portfolio. So if you think that, okay, that also makes sense, and you also have the commitment, the determination, the motivation to actually make this change in your life as well, then 100%, I would be super happy to schedule a call with you and have a chat with you. Book a call down below and we'll have a chat and we'll see if we can create a roadmap for you and see how we can get you to your goal.